they say. Our next guest, Florida Congresswoman Cammack, is one of those Republicans. Take a look at what she had to say regarding the H.R. 1 bill.
This bill will allow 16-year-olds to vote, give $25 vouchers to individuals to donate to the candidate of their choice, redefines free speech, triggers universal mail-in ballots, creates an election czar, and strips voter ID requirements, and so much more. This bill jeopardizes the future of Americans' freedoms of speech with new requirements for public disclosure of support of political campaigns and candidates. Mr. Speaker, we cannot claim to be protecting the rights and freedoms enshrined in our Constitution when the For the People Act, more aptly named the For the Politicians Act, is under consideration.
And joining us now to discuss is Congresswoman Cammack herself. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us know what is your primary concern. I know amongst the list that you just gave there on the floor, you're also saying that this basically is just a power grab from the top down.
Absolutely. And thanks for having me on this afternoon. You're right. It is pretty quiet up here on Capitol Hill, but it is. This is just a top-down power grab. Look, this is H.R. 1. I'm sitting in my office right now. This is the bill that no one has read. God knows what is tucked into this monstrosity. And if you can't read a bill, you shouldn't vote on it. And I guarantee you that my colleagues on the left have not read this bill. It's garbage. And the thing that I tell people who are in favor of this is if the Democrats have been so concerned about election integrity, why didn't they pursue this last Congress? And then don't we all recall during November and December where they said this was the best, most secure election that they've ever seen in their lifetime? Well, then why is H.R. 1 their top priority? Why all of a sudden the push for this new reform? And I like to tell people this 6-to-1 match that we're seeing of small dollar donations that taxpayers and corporations will be footing the bill for. Let me just paint this picture. AOC posts up some explosive video, name calling everybody a racist, you name it. She raises $1 million. Guess what? We're on the hook for the other $6 million. That's right. She will raise $6 million because of this 6-to-1 match, because the majority of her donations are small dollar donations. This is ludicrous. We are absolutely losing our constitutional republic. And this H.R. 1 is what the Democrats have as their top priority. This cannot stand. This is dangerous. This undermines our Constitution. It undermines our republic. We need the Senate to fight this. And I guarantee you, Americans, when they find out what's in this bill, it is going to terrify them.
Okay, Congresswoman, we wanted to address some comments you made, some very passionate words you had on the House floor regarding H.R. 1280, otherwise known as the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Now, the House passed the bill, just the House, not the Senate. Let's take a look at some of what you had to say regarding that bill.
Now, as a member of the first responder family, I can say definitively on behalf of our officers that there is absolutely nothing that a good cop hates more than a bad cop. And as the wife of a first responder, this issue could not be more personal to me. My husband serves our local community as a firefighter and a SWAT medic for our local sheriff's department. And next to me here today, you see one of his SWAT vests. This is the same vest that he wore for 14 hours while on a massive manhunt for a man who had just been released from prison who promptly raped and killed his girlfriend. It is the same vest that he wore while responding to a man who had barricaded himself with weapons, threatening to kill his own children. These are just some of the scenes that this vest and my husband has seen, like so many of our LEOs. But the real threat here is not the dangerous situations that my husband has seen in protecting his community. It is the fact that this bill, and by extension you, Mr. Speaker, want to take this vest off my husband's back. Because yes, what this bill does is take this kind of equipment off the backs of our men and women in uniform.
Congresswoman, very passionate words. I think they connect to a lot of people because you're living the reality, not something that's a numbers thing. The other thing you went on and said is you agree there needs to be some get rid of the bad cops. You think there should be some schooling on how to do your job properly if you are a police officer. So why is it that there's such an extreme reaction with something like 1280?
You know, this bill is just an attempt to defund the police. And you saw it last night in my speech. Obviously, this is very personal to me. It's very personal to our LEOs, to the first responder family, and the spouses that worry all night long whether or not their spouse is going to make it back. This bill is just an attempt to cut and undermine our departments. They talk about chokeholds in the state of Florida. Chokeholds aren't employed. They have actually been banned. Prior to this bill, I sat down with all of my sheriffs, all of my police chiefs, and they read this bill with me in shock and horror at what it would do, getting rid of qualified immunity, undercutting all the grants, giving the grant money that goes towards the protective equipment like that vest to NAACP, to citizen advisory boards. This is garbage. This is dangerous. And it stands to reason that if you want better protection and better trained police, you fully fund them.
Yeah.
What the thing and where we defund the police? And I was gavelled down before I had an opportunity to finish my speech.
Yeah.
I was 15 seconds away from finishing. Well, and what I was challenged my colleagues to that were staring at me with daggers as I was delivering the speech was, have you done a ride-along? Have you gone into the sim units at your local police academy? Because if you haven't, you have no business voting on this bill. And so I was challenging every single one of my colleagues who voted in favor of that bill, and that challenge stands today. Come on a ride along with me. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's have this discussion, because this is the most important discussion right now. If we are willing to undermine the people in our communities that are fighting day and night to uphold law and order, what are we doing here?
Congresswoman, thank you so
Great
much.
point.
Very strong arguments for both of these bills, and we appreciate you joining us to give us the passion that you have on this. These are not just words on 800 pages, right? These are real laws that affect people. So thank you so much.